Steve Wright in the morning.
Thank you.
To Matthew's delight, Trevor's new music policy was proving a hit with young listeners. But DJ Steve Wright was still the vital draw upon whom the entire schedule had been built.
Steve Wright in the morning.
Fine, thank you. Thank you, Clive.
Steve Wright in the morning.
And he was not used to being told what he could and could not play on his own show.
He rang Matthew's office and mine and said, I want to see you both at 4 o'clock in Matthew's office. So, why? I'm not telling you. I suppose I probably thought he was going to come and say, now look here, this, you know, this new music policy and everything, it's obviously not going to affect me, is it?
I called him in and he handed me a letter and said, I'm leaving.
I walked into the office and Matthew was pacing the room, you know, looking kind of very worried, and said that, you know, this is a disaster. This isn't what we wanted to happen at all.
I thought we would be in big trouble. I very rarely see Matthew look worried, but he did look worried that day. I'm not surprised. I mean, would have, you know, would have worried anybody. That's a big, big blow.
We didn't really leave the office until about 10 o'clock, having had the editor of the Daily Mail screaming down the phone, saying, you know, the front page was going to be worse than bad.
Then questions were asked. And I thought, well, Matthew Bannister, isn't he the chap who lost half of Radio 1's audience, like 9 million people? And then questions started being asked, and it even filtered back to the governors. And they thought, well, maybe this isn't the wunderkind we've all been led to believe. Maybe he doesn't have a King Midas touch.
This was Matthew's darkest hour.
He kind of hit us kind of period of stasis, almost, where these kind of, I'm a bit stuck here, really. Where do I go? What do I do? And everything's going wrong.
Frustratingly for Trevor, it also meant a reprieve for Bruno Brooks.
After a long while of Matthew saying, oh yes, well, he's obviously one of those who's got to go, he would start saying, well, I think we've got to be very careful about this because there's a big audience here and, you know, we might lose a few more percentage points. There was talk of what would happen if the reach went below X percent, you know.
Then, with the station in crisis and the press baying for the head of Matthew Bannister, Trevor was invited to lunch at a pizza restaurant. Here, over a bowl of pasta bows with tomato and basil sauce, the fate of Radio 1 was about to take an unexpected turn. The man on the other side of the table was a good friend of the hottest presenter in British broadcasting, Chris Evans.
We started talking, you know, how's Chris, and because obviously they were very close, and we were just generally chatting. And I told him about the Steve Wright problems, that he was leaving, and well, of course we'd love Chris to do it, but I don't suppose there's any chance of that. And he began to say, do you know, it's not impossible that he might do it. Well, this was a bit of a surprise. And then it suddenly dawned on me, like, oh, clap of thunder, he's actually been sent here to sound us out.
So I went to Chris Evans' flat, just overlooking Tower Bridge. I remember it very well. And he made me a cup of tea. He said, I'm going to do it. And I know I should do it because I'm so excited that when I think about it, I want to go to the toilet. We both went out and sat on a balcony with a paper cup of tea, and this News of the World photographer hid in a bush and took our picture as if he'd surreptitiously come across us, although it had all been arranged.
Now Trevor and Matthew felt they had something to shout about. But Trevor hardly had time to pat Matthew on the back before he learned a terrible truth about the deal his boss had struck with Evans. While previous breakfast shows had always been produced by the BBC, Evans would be produced by his own independent company and would be completely out of Trevor's hands.
So in fact, this was a bit of a blow, because right at the time when I was trying to persuade new people to come and join the department and trying to refresh it and create a new kind of mood of optimism as well as creativity, suddenly the jewel in our crown, which is the breakfast show, is taken away. We were told, well, you don't make that anymore. That was a pretty difficult moment for us, really.
It was a tricky situation to manage because I think that what happened was that Trevor in particular felt bruised by the fact that I'd allowed this show to go to an independent production.
I didn't think that Matthew had fought hard enough to keep him inside the BBC.
Chris said, I will not do it unless it's an independent production. And since I rather needed him to do it, I said, fine, it can be an independent production.
When you're managing a creative talent like Chris, who's always likely to be pushing at the margins, I think it's very dangerous to concede all your authority before you start.
Let's just calm down, I'll leave. I don't fucking care. Just calm down, all right? No, you don't look it, mate. Jesus Christ.
Well, we have been waiting for 4 hours. I know it's not your fault.
It's nothing to do with me, so don't bring that kind of atmosphere and attitude into this happy studio, all right?
He just came on with this optimism and energy and zest. And he just said, don't worry, I'm here now, it's going to be fine.
Yes, it's my show, I'm here now. It's BBC Radio 1, and we're on the air.
He was always fine with me. I opened the door for him once, held the door open for him. He said, hey, Adrian, let me old dibber open the door. But, you know...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Audience figures for the breakfast show had started to rise. Now, at last, Matthew felt he could throw caution to the wind, and Bruno Brooks out of the famous side door that Simon Bates had refused to use 2 years earlier. The last of the dinosaurs had gone. By now, even Adrian Just had been forced out of the station he loved.
I was in here on the Friday night getting the Saturday show ready, and we were doing all the topical stuff. And the phone went, and it wasn't Bannister, it was 1, 2, 3, it was the number 4. The number 4 down there. I said, Adrian, I've got some bad news for you. I said, oh, I know what that is. He said, do you want Matthew to call you back? I said, no, don't bother. I said, I've got a show to get out. I said, just wish him a Merry Christmas and tell him to fuck off, will you?